What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another game day update. It is game number 2 for the Grizzlies. They are out in LA. They play the Clippers tonight. So joining me to talk about the game tonight is the LA Clippers beat writer and social media manager for Clutch Points.
There it is.
Homer Azarli. We practiced before. Welcome. Hello. Thanks for coming on again.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Kelsey. I appreciate it.
All right. I think that this is going to be an exciting game, and let me set the scene for everyone at home. The Grizzlies, if you are watching from the Memphis Grizzlies side on social, they won their home opener. It was against the Cavs. It was a very exciting game. John Moran had 37 points. We were all so happy. On the other end, the Clippers lost their game, but it was, again, a very exciting game against Golden State. This will be their home opener tonight. So let's talk about what we can expect between these two teams. When the Clippers, I feel like, are a very veteran presence team. The Grizzlies still that young squad coming up. And it's, again, like, it's a home opener. Who doesn't want to win that home opener if you're the Clippers?
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, I think the Clippers are excited to get the season going. They've actually had the longest break between preseason game and regular season game, where they've had about 9 days off. Yeah, their last preseason game was early in October, so they've had a couple, close to a week and a half off. So they were excited to get going against the Warriors yesterday, the other day. And so, when you look at the Grizzlies, I think it's the type of team that just, it's what Ty Lue has harped on a lot on, and getting back in transition. And the Grizzlies play with a lot of pace. They play with a lot of speed. I think, John Morant does a really good job of that. We saw Desmond Bane and DeAnthony Melton both contribute to that as well. I think they had 22 and 20 points apiece, respectively. So those are guys you have to look out to, especially in transition. The Clippers allowed about 28 points in transition in the preseason, which is god awful. But I think, Ty Lue has really gotten on about them playing better transition defense, getting back. And so I think that'll be really the key to look at when you look at both of these teams. The Clippers have a lot of veterans. They got rid of Patrick Beverley in the offseason. They brought in Eric Bledsoe, who had 22 points in his opener. First game kind of meshing together. They are starting kind of 2-point guards there, similar to what the Grizzlies are doing with Melton and Morant. The Clippers are starting Reggie Jackson and Eric Bledsoe. So I think it'll be interesting to see how both teams match up. I will say Steven Adams has repeatedly destroyed the Clippers on the offensive glass. I've covered the team 6 years, and every single game that he's played against them, he finishes with 10 offensive rebounds or something. So that's something you got to put a body on Steven Adams. He's just a force on the glass. So.
And who will be putting a body on? If we're looking at the Clippers, who do you think is in charge of keeping him off the glass? He had 14 rebounds in his first regular season game with the Grizzlies. He has a huge body. Who's boxing him out?
Yeah, so Ivica Zubac only played 17 minutes in the Clippers opener against the Warriors, but I think that's because the Warriors like to play small, and the Clippers kind of wanted to match up with them and keep up the pace. The Grizzlies, while they do like to push the pace, I think they do like to have a big man out there. Steven Adams, 32 minutes. They also have Jaren Jackson, who played 31. So, I will say that Ivica Zubac will probably be handling a bit of those duties. Isaiah Hartenstein was signed at the backup big man, while Serge Ibaka is recovering from his back surgery. He's close to a return. I don't anticipate him making the return tonight, but I do think that Hartenstein will be the backup, and he'll see some minutes on Adams as well. But again, Steven Adams is just a handful. He's really good at, getting to his spots when it comes to the defensive and offensive glass. And I think that's just really something that Zubac and Hartenstein and whoever's out there, even if it's Marcus playing small ball, really have to pick their spots and get there before Adams does. Because if he does, it's an offensive rebound and probably a putback or a tip out, which is what he's really good at as well. So I'm looking at Zubac and Hartenstein, but it's got to be a team effort. You got to get all 5 guys involved.
All right. You brought up injuries really quickly. So I'm just going to say right now, Serge Ibaka is listed as day-to-day. Kawhi is obviously out. Dillon Brooks is out for the Grizzlies. I think it's interesting that with both Kawhi and Dillon Brooks out, it's kind of like those 2 defensive stoppers on each team, right? So those are the guys who would have the biggest defensive. I know Kawhi's out for the season or for a while. I understand, but those are the guys who would take kind of that big defensive matchup. So I'm looking at, let's go and do one player to watch for each team, but you're not allowed to say John Morant for the Grizzlies or Paul George for the Clippers.
Okay. For the Grizzlies side, I will say Desmond Bane. I do think he's intriguing in that I don't think he's had enough opportunities given how deep that roster is, especially at the guard position, to show what he can do. Obviously, playing behind guys like Morant, playing with Melton, playing behind Brooks, and even Kyle Anderson. I just think that there's a lot of mouths to feed there, and so Desmond Bane really showed that he can play in that first game. I'm curious to see if he can carry that on against a team that's probably a better defensive team than the Cavs. So I think the Clippers obviously have the wing presences, even without Kawhi. They do have PG. They have Eric Bledsoe who can make life tough. He can make. There's Justice Winslow as well. So there are a couple guys who can kind of make a life tougher for him. So I want to see how he carries on after his opening night game. And for the Clippers side, there's a few guys I would look at, but I think Terrence Mann is probably that guy for me.
Okay.
He played 39 minutes off the bench in the Clippers opener against the Warriors. Now Nicholas Batum didn't play that game due to personal reasons, and he is expected to play tonight. We'll see what kind of transpires there. But I think Terrence Mann is just he just signed his extension a few days before his birthday, before the season started. So he's a happy man. And he's just a guy who's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for the Clippers, where he really does everything and whatever they need, whether it's rebounding, playmaking, putting pressure on the rim. He can hit the 3-point shot now. He shot it at 40% last year. So he's really just doing everything for the Clippers. He even played some five last year in the playoffs, which is kind of insane to think about it, considering he's what, 6'7", 6'8". So he's done everything for the Clippers, and I think that he's the guy to watch tonight and throughout the season, just for the Clippers, just because he does everything they need him to do. So
I'm going to piggyback off that with another guy who just signed his contract. My player to watch, I'll go real quick, is Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he has a good game, any night, as well as on top of Ja and on top of Desmond. I think that's really important. He had 13 points, but it was deceiving, that end box score. He shot 3 for 12 from the field against the Cavs. So I think a good game for him tonight would be very important for the Grizzlies, especially because he plays, he could play 4-5. He's one of those bigs. And we talked about the Clippers, not necessarily they're going to be very busy, I'll say, with Steven Adams down low. And for the Clippers, I think I'm going to go with Reggie Jackson. It's what I think I'm going to go with. Again, someone who didn't shoot very well in his first game. He was 4 for 19. But he's one of those players who I think can step into a lot of roles as well. Like, he had 11 points, but he had 5 rebounds and 6 assists. He's one of those guys who can constantly, even if he's not scoring, if he is shooting 4 for 19, he's able to get on the box score and contribute in other ways.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree with both of those. I mean, again, there's a lot of good options on both teams because they're so deep. Jaren Jackson is a guy I've watched for a few years now, and he's kind of just capable of lighting it up at any given time. He's got the range. We've seen him knock down deep threes on multiple occasions, and so he's the guy you have to watch, especially when he's got that shot going. Reggie Jackson, like you said, shot 4 of 19, but he never plays like he shot 4 of 19. He's got like supreme confidence. He likes to square up on you. He can take you to the basket as well, and do all the other things like dish out passes, rebound. So yeah, it's just a deep. It's gonna be 2 deep teams playing against each other. I think early in the season the conditioning isn't where both teams want it to be, so they'll probably be going 9, 10, maybe even 11 deep. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but yeah, should be a fun game.
And it is the first of 4 games between these 2 teams in the regular season. So if the conditioning's not up now, hopefully it'll be there by February. The game is at 9:30 our time in Memphis. That's 7:30 for you tonight. You can watch it on Bally Sports Southeast. And thank you so much for coming on and talking basketball with us.
No, thank you for having me, Kelsey, and good luck to you guys.
Aw, good luck to you too.
Thank you.